Take one. The digital-only world is slowly taking over. Is it too late to start collecting physical video games?
Let's go. So we've had many people ask us over the years, hey boys, we're men in tights.
We're men in tights.
Sorry.
Sorry, we'll go, keep going. We said boys. No.
Boys, is it too late to start collecting? We're young, we want to get into it. Is it too late? And so what we want to look in this video is answer that question. Is it too late to start collecting games?
So is it too late to start collecting? And the one, I guess, problem or I guess issue we all have is the overpricing of video games. So there's two aspects to it, is the retro side and then obviously the current new collecting video game side. So let's talk about the retro old school video games.
A lot of people who want to venture into this market of collecting, they want to go back and buy the old school stuff. Everyone wants a Game Boy. Everyone wants a Game Boy Advance. Why? Because as technology grows older, something cool to have something different. Getting the Sega Dreamcast, getting all those games is something that people want to get. But there's an issue in wanting to go down that path straight away.
So supply and demand. So with a Game Boy that's 30, 40 years old, people don't look after them. And so there's less and less Game Boys that have looked after, that are still working, still have the original box, and that will become supply and demand.
And so you might be thinking, hey, that's a rip-off. I don't want to pay, $300 for a boxed Game Boy. But as Pav said, there's actually value to that price if it's kept in well condition. So it becomes hard to want to start collecting retro things when it's just too expensive.
And so with that demand, people, I guess, take advantage of that nostalgia and then start overpricing because they know I have the game you want and I will charge you whatever I want. Because where else are you going to get it from? So
there's a good example we saw today with Zelda. Actually, you got a copy of that now, eh?
Yeah, so a few years ago, I got this for $100.
Boxed.
Which I thought was pretty good.
And if you have a look, originally, this was purchased at Blockbuster Video for $29.95. So you went from $30, well back then, it would have been worth whatever, to $100. And how much have we seen it for today?
So on average, around 300 plus, depending on condition. So
that's insane.
Yeah, so that's kind of what you're looking to pay for something like this. And when it comes to overpricing, it's the current collector's edition that also gets sucked into the overpricing, where people start buying 10 of them, 20 of them, so many that it sells out within the pre-order. So the people that want to own that game or play that game have to go to eBay or Facebook Marketplace and probably pay double the price than what it actually was for the retail price.
So it becomes harder for people to get into the collecting part of it because it's like, well, I can't afford it. I'm not going to pay. We saw on eBay a whole bunch of Last of Us products, as you can see right now. We're showing you right now. It comes with a whole bunch of collectors for $10,000. What the heck? I don't think it's worth 10 grand, but The other aspect of it is collecting and buying new things today that's just come out. We've noticed that a lot of the current gen collector's edition games are way overpriced. The other day we wanted to buy a game. It came out with a cool statue. I'm not going to mention the game, but it was over $500 for a game, collector's edition statue. And I'm like, I'm not spending $500 on this. Go for it if you want to. I just can't justify it.
Oh, wouldn't want to spoil your fun, Mr. Cheapskate.
When only a few years ago, whenever it was, maybe 5 years ago, I bought this, and it was under $300. And so,
obviously, we both bought one each, and so to get this pretty sweet little...
That's pretty cool, but it was priced well. So, there's nothing wrong with the statues. For those collecting, this is why we collect. It is artwork. I'm trying to tell my wife time and time again.
It does look pretty cool.
It looks awesome. This is something that you can display. It's like having a painting on the wall, but it's artwork. So, while it's overpriced, some of these things, it is freaking cool. Some of the stuff you look at and go, I'm glad I bought that.
Because when you're saying a console $700 and then to pay $500 for a game and a statue, then it's really hard to justify.
Yeah, but if the game's great,
Yeah, but $500. You know.
if the game's great,
I'd say $300 I think is reasonable for a video
Yeah, I think
game
so.
and a statue.
yeah, I think so. So if you're just starting off and you want to start collecting, you're hearing all these things going, well, Sal, Paz, it's too late. I don't have the money and all that. We think it's not too late. I think you still start.
But there are some things that you can do to help not break the bank when you're looking to buy something back from the 80s or 90s, or even a collector's edition from the current generations. So the first point and advice I would give is buying what you love, buying the thing that you grew up playing, something that you go, this game or this console I grew up in, and then get that. Well, the first two things I bought before any of this was I bought a Nintendo 64 console and a Super Nintendo console. I didn't have any games, didn't have any other collector's editions. I just bought those two because they're the things we grew up with, and then from there I started buying the favorite games we loved.
Yeah, that's right.
And when you start collecting, don't get into this trap that some of us fall into and start buying consoles and start buying video games that you never really loved as a kid. The one thing we did start buying, or I did start buying, was NES games. Even though I loved NES, I love the original Nintendo, I never grew up playing it, but to put the money towards buying games, especially these ones that were pretty pricey, especially for games I never played, I don't think that's the great way to go when it comes to collecting. You need to focus on the games you love.
Focus on the games you
love.
love.
I know the one consoles you might be shocked we don't actually have are any Sega.
No. Sega. No. I have a Master Dream. Yeah, I have a Master.
But we don't have that many. We don't have any boxed really here. And while it's a great console, it's a great, I guess if you grew up playing them, they're great. But for us,
let's start getting Segas.
we never grew up playing.
We're going to start.
So that's one thing we didn't do. We didn't go down that path just to have it.
It's on like Donkey Kong.
Okay, so don't do that, guys. Just a little
Alright.
point. Stick to playing games you love.
So if you want to start collecting now, don't feel like you have to get it fully completed, like the full box and everything. Start off small. Maybe don't go for the high-end prices. Start off buying, if you want to go after Game Boys, start going after Game Boy games that you can afford. And then move away a little bit up the more you get some money. And so you start to build your collection. For example, I got it right here. Instead of buying a box Game Boy, get a Game Boy. You can pick them up for $80, $90, $100, okay? Make sure it works, obviously. And then after a while, go and find people who are selling the box for it on its own. And then, boom, you have the set. So you can be very clever in doing that and making sure that you don't just go in straight away.
And a little tip when buying cartridge-only games, if you ever see this, sometimes it's okay when they say this, but sometimes when they say game comes untested, sometimes it means it's broken and they don't want to tell you it's broken, and so they say it comes untested. So just be careful just be careful, because then some people obviously legitimately can't test it, but some people just say it just so they can say.
I say it. I don't sell them, but
I know, but you just gotta be careful. So just be cautious when someone says they're selling untested. Alright, so we've made a decision to start collecting and start getting some old school video games and consoles, and getting ones that you actually love and grew up playing. So where do we go from here? This is where you need patience and research, if you could be bothered. If you've got the money to see a game or console on eBay and it doesn't matter what it costs and just buy it, then that's good. Do that. Then that's fine. Then skip this part. But if you want things more affordable and obviously something that you can afford, then you have to do some research. So a way of doing some form of research, it's not the greatest research, but if you go to eBay, you search Zelda Ocarina of Time, and then the category options, you go sold items. That will help you kind of get an idea of what this has been selling for, and get an idea of, alright, and then you kind of make a total of like, so 10 of these sold for an average of $200, for example. So it gives you an idea of what they're selling for.
So, is it too late to start collecting? Absolutely not. It's never too late unless you're dead.
What did he say?
Okay. Start collecting. Enjoy it. Take out on board our points and just have fun doing it. At the end of the day, just have fun. Buy what you like and don't go crazy. Don't get ripped off. Make sure you continue to follow, subscribe, like us, support us. We love you guys. We appreciate it. See you next time. Peace.